Hello guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to the second movie in our prison week. I'm not in prison guys and doing these from prison, but if I was I probably would, but I'm not. We're just reviewing films that were based around prisons. Yesterday, or the day Monday, we looked at a horror film called Prison, which was amazing, really cool. And tonight we're looking at Chopper, starring Eric Bana as Mark Chopper. Now, don't know if you know Mark Chopper or Mark Reed. He is Australia's most infamous sort of prisoner for being a bit of sort of like their sort of a hard man sort of thing. And this is based on his story, on his life. Well, part of it. And Eric Bana stars as Chopper, and he plays an amazing role. He does a really good job, really convincing. The film starts off straight away, and Mark's in prison, and he's sort of like dealing with other prisoners, and there's all that sort of territorial sort of thing going on. And there's one other prisoner there that's sort of like says in this part, this area, this line here, this part, this side of the line, mine, that's your side, don't cross it, and all this sort of thing. So obviously, Mark won't stand for that. He thinks it's this is all territorial thing. And then one day he sort of cracks and goes in there and starts stabbing him in the head, in the face, and the neck with like a sort of a knife thing. And obviously, no guards have seen this, and the guy's sort of laying down there in covered in blood, and it's a real brutal sort of thing. It's quite a violent film. In parts. Other parts it's not too bad, but this is probably one of the more violent sort of scenes of the film. And then he starts talking to the guy that he's just stabbed, saying, "Oh mate, I'm so sorry," and all this, I didn't mean it. You're right, sort of thing. You're okay, and all this sort of thing. And the guy's sort of like laying down in pools and pools of blood, and all this sort of thing. And then he's questioned by like sort of like homicide sort of detectives who come in to the prison to question him about what's happened, and he denies it all. Says that he was watching an ant on a table with his friend Jimmy, and all this sort of thing sort of goes on. And I think he gets done for it. It's not really explained, but I think his sentence gets extended and stuff like this, and because the other guy actually dies in the end of his injuries. And in the prison there's like a bounty out on Chopper, sort of like people trying to kill him, obviously, and there's a bounty for him for what he's done to that guy. And there's one scene he's in a sort of cell with his friend Jimmy and their other sort of friend. I think Jimmy's his best sort of mate in the prison. And then Jimmy stabs him, and he doesn't even notice. He just carries on talking, and then so Jimmy stabs him again, and he just sort of like wipes his mouth like that, and you see blood sort of like there. He doesn't know he's been stabbed until he looks down, and then Jimmy keeps stabbing him and stuff like this, because he obviously wants this money. So good friend, eh? But he's sort of like, he's trying to say, oh, it's all right, mate. Don't worry, Jimmy. Don't worry. It's all good. Sort of thing. Don't worry. And he's sort of like, he knows why he's doing it, Uh, and in the end, he has to go to the hospital, Mark, and you see him in the bed with like stitches in his stomach and stuff where he's been stabbed multiple times and stuff like that. And as they're taking him out of the room, Jimmy and his friends saying, "Oh yeah, Mark started it. He started it, and he didn't. He didn't do nothing, but he started it. We're just defending ourselves." And then Jimmy takes him to court, tries prosecuting him in court over saying that he was just doing self-defense and all this sort of thing. And Mark, was just sort of like laughing it all off. Anyway, then we joined the film a bit later, and Mark's now out of prison. So I'm taking this like about 10 years later. And he goes to visit his ex-girlfriend, who's a prostitute, I think, and they go to a nightclub where there's a guy there that Mark's had in old sort of like stuff with him in the past, where he's sort of shot his kneecap with a shotgun and stuff like this. So Mark's gone there to apologise and make it up to him, and all this sort of relationship sort of building on. And of course, it's not long when he's out and he's in trouble again, and he's finding excuses and stuff. There's one scene when he kills this guy with a shotgun, and he says, "Oh, he did it in self-defense," and all this sort of thing. And he was sort of freed. He was let off on that charge, but he went to prison for another 5 years for something else that he did, and he's always in and out of trouble, and he's sort of like he doesn't care who it is. He just seems to be quite relentless, male or female. He quite happily get involved and get into trouble, and this sort of follows him through this stage, and when he goes back to prison and he's out again, and you get to meet his dad and that and sort of things like this, and it's a really good sort of portrayal. Obviously, the ending of the film, it sort of came quite suddenly. I thought, oh wow, it's over already. I thought this was going to be longer than that, but it just came out of nowhere, and it ended. Obviously, Mark Chopper Reed stayed alive for many, many years, and he become like quite famous and infamous and wrote books. He became a best-selling author and all this sort of thing. And the film sort of ends with him, when he wrote his book, he's saying, oh, he's going to write another one and all this sort of thing. And then the film kind of ends. And it goes through some of the parts, some of the stories that he adventures that he goes through, and it's really, really cool. And what do I think of Chopper? I really enjoyed it. I thought it was amazing. The only real negative of it, I thought, it was just a little bit too short. If I'm being honest with you, because I was getting into it, and I just thought, oh, this is really cool, because there's violence in it, but it's not overly violent. You know, it's you're going to expect violence when it's in the prison. You know, there's no way around it. These prison films, you're going to get violence because you've got criminals together. You've got violent and dangerous people together, so you're going to get it. And obviously, Chopper is one of the most infamous ones for trouble in Australia. The pluses of it looks great, really, really cool. Eric's performance is fantastic. How he didn't get an Oscar for that role, I don't know, because he just played it so well, so convincing. You forgot that it was Eric Bana, you know. So it was just really, really cool. It's a great edition from Second Sight. This is their collector's edition, which comes with the movie in Blu-ray. It comes with a rather large booklet with interviews with cast and crew, and obviously with Mark Reed himself. It comes with a set of art cards, which I have in there. I've not opened that yet. And it comes with an array of special features, which are, let me put these on. It's a new Second Sight restoration to 2K. New audio commentaries. It also has an audio commentary from Mark Chopper Reed himself. Stand-up comedy to violence in a new interview with Andrew Dominique. It has Not Your Typical Film Composer, a new interview with composer Mick Harvey. Now, Mick Harvey done the music for this. He's a member of the Bad Seeds, of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. So he done the music for the film. A Tale of Two Halves, a new interview with editor Ken Swallows. Weekend with Chopper. That's where you go, you meet Chopper and there's an interview with him. Chopper behind the scenes, deleted scenes and optional director's commentary. So it's pretty cool. It's got quite a few extra features in it. And there's obviously also some features in there with Mark Reed himself. And he actually does a commentary on one of it, which could be quite interesting. I've not listened to it or even listened to it yet. So I mean, maybe I'll go back and listen to it at some point. But I'm going to score the film a great watch and give it an 8 out of 10. Really cool film. Really, really enjoyed it. Great to have it in my collection. It's not a horror film. The only horror thing about it is, I suppose there's some quite horrible violence. Oh, 1 minute, guys. And there's, you know, he's a horrible person, really. that's turned out to be like a superstar, just because he's got this persona about him, you know, and he's quite comical. When you see him in the court cases, he's quite comical, and people are laughing at him. So he's turned into like a bit of a sort of celebrity. And like, there's scenes where you see him watching himself on TV with the prison officers, and they're all like sitting around his cell like he's a mate, sort of thing, you know. So it's cool, and I'm just thinking, you know, I've looked on YouTube and I've seen an interview with him. I think it was his very last interview ever before he passed away, and he actually admitted to 3 of the murders. I think they're saying he murdered about 19 people, but he was only ever trialed for 1, which he got away with, which was the guy that he shot outside the nightclub that I told you, with a shotgun. But he got away with it. He said it was self-defense. But it was the only one he went to trial for. So it's an interesting story, and I really enjoyed it, and it was a great sort of watch. And like I said, my only negative view of the film is that it was too short, which tells me that's a really cool film. And watching Eric Bana, he just sort of presents sort of absolutely on the screen, just sort of mesmerizing. He's just so cool. Chopper, 8 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. I'm not a huge prison film fan, but I mean, my favourite prison film is Midnight Express, which I'm not reviewing this week. I've already looked at these, and I'm going to be looking at another one. Oh, was it Bronson? Yeah, I'm going to look at that next, which is based on Charles Bronson, not the American actor, but the most toughest British prisoner of all time. So we're going to be looking at that next. But really cool film, really enjoyed it, and it made a nice change from the horror films. Which as soon as I was watching it, I don't know, you guys, you horror fans, I don't know if you're like me. When you're watching other films and you're sitting there watching it, you think, oh, this is cool, but I'd rather be watching a horror film. I was like that all the way through the film. And I'm like that when I watch any other film, to be honest. If it's a comedy or whatever, I'm just thinking, oh, I could be watching a horror film now. Can't help it. I'm just addicted to them. It's just my genre. It's just what I love, you know. But there we go. Great film. Worth checking out, guys, if you get a chance. Till next time, look after yourselves. Massive shout out to the lad. Look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.